What is going on, everybody? Welcome to a brand new episode of Crush This, a Monster Truck podcast. My name is the Monster Truck Knucker Bradshaw. With me is Mr. Dan Cheech, and our guest on this pre-recorded episode is Mr. Nick Pagliarulo. Nick, how's it going, buddy?
It's going good. How you guys doing today?
Doing pretty well. Once again, thank you to J Concepts for sponsoring our podcast here. I want to let everyone know, hey, if you have any questions, we're not going to answer them. So I'm just gonna be honest with you. I know we have some people that are on here that will ask random questions as they see if we can watch it, but this is a recorded episode. That means we are doing something else while this episode's going on. We could be eating dinner, we could be, cutting the grass, we could be working on the truck. In that moment when you're watching this episode, we are not physically here. So let me be clear.
Yeah.
We're not answering your questions.
Hey, this time tomorrow, I'm going to be playing drums at a church thing. So, life happens, but we made it work. But just couple quick updates. I just got back from the Monster Truck Throwdown event in Edmonton. Awesome event. Besides that, yesterday when I was in the hospital for however many hours I was, I don't even know anymore. Going back to Edmonton this weekend, coming up to help out the Team Throttle Boys and Tim Hall, a.k.a. Peter Parker, for the weekend. That's going to be a good event. Cheech, you did an event last week with the All-Star Monster Truck Tour. How did that go?
For me, it was meh, but we made it out. Kurt came overall and one freestyle, one racing. It was an interesting lineup. It was our two trucks with Psycho Circus and Geronimo, and Geronimo didn't even make the whole show. Didn't even make the show. Went to intros, and it just sounded like a modified lawnmower. Not even sound like a monster truck.
He got that Briggs Stratton.
They were a Husqvarna full 40. But they got a lot of things going on, and they're running around like a chicken's head cut off, going to show. So. Hopefully everything gets figured out and worked on and go from there. But and then we were with Psycho Circus, Dave Reif, the good one, not the bad one, in Virginia. But yeah, I said that. Him and his son Mason, they're good. They put on a hell of a performance during the show and outside the show. And they always are a riot and a good time. So that was pretty cool. We were in Lancaster, Iowa, which is crazy, but it's like one of the smallest fairs. But they have a dirt track, maybe like quarter, 3/8. I think it's a 3/8 track. So smaller. That's what it's 3/8, half, and sometimes a mile, right?
I think so.
In the dirt track.
I'm not a dirt track guy. I like cars that go to quarter mile. So
okay, so 3/8 track, and it was interesting. We had some battles going on with my truck, and our main goal for that show was to keep it 3 because that's the rough thing about having a 4-truck show is one's out, then the other 3 have to kind of pull the chain, and it's different than having a 6-truck show or a 5-truck show. That 5th truck getting out, you still have 4 trucks to do the time and the performance that you need. Well, 3 is kind of that's pulling the chain for them. So we did that. Fans liked it. Congratulations to Kurt. I will buy him ice cream. We always, in the finals, he always challenges us for ice cream. And he didn't challenge me. I challenged him in Connorsville for the deal Wilson. I was like, man, hey, final round, the verse you for some ice cream. He hesitated and he goes, yeah, I challenge you for some ice cream. So the finals was up for some ice cream. And damn it, I got some Dairy Queen. So I was all right with that. And he kept his word. We got it. Well, I'm going to keep my word. And I owe him some ice cream too. So We're gonna go from there. This week, Kurt is actually gonna be doing the car crush at Horizon Fest, and that's happening Saturday. Normally, it's a 2-day thing, but this time it's just a 1 day on a Saturday, and Kurt's gonna be doing that. And then me and Nathan are going Sunday. Well, we'll be at Horizon Fest too, but we'll be racing RC trucks. Sunday, me and Nathan and a couple others are going to the Kokomo transmission plant. So they build or they do stuff for the transmissions that Stellantis Chrysler does, and it's their plant. So it's their employee appreciation day. We'll bring the ride truck out. They'll do we'll get the rides going for 3 hours, take a tour of the plant, and I think Matt Hagen's car is going to be there.
Oh, nice.
Not off the top of my head, but I think one of his display cars is going to be there, which he just won Sunday in Brainerd, Minnesota. So that was pretty cool. And we're just going to do that for like a fan employee appreciation day and stuff like that. And then I am going to get my truck ready, because then the week after that, we have a dealership display and just a 1-day display and car crush in Little Falls, Minnesota. And then the week after that, it's a 4-wheel jamboree. I believe, I think our team is going to be there. I don't know if I'm going to be driving there or Mark is, but we also have another gig that weekend in Bowling Green, Kentucky. It's called Mo Party. So it's Mo Party. Yeah. Anyway, they're going to ask Mark to do a car crush and maybe go down the drag strip. That's enough information I could say. So we'll go from there. But so there's a possibility that I could be racing at Indy Danville for the 4-wheel drive jamboree. We'll see how that goes. So yeah, that's some schedule going on there, and that's a lot, but we'll be ready to go. And before you know it, we'll be at Dega and then Homestead. So doing some more NASCAR stuff. And I'm gonna tell the Ram guys, the NASCAR, why you guys are going to put gas in it, and then go from there. That's what your problem is. You got no gas in it. And go from there. And those are fun. I've had, get a chance to go to a NASCAR race and see the fans and stuff like that, and seeing the truck. And there's a lot of them. They just go, I haven't been to a monster truck show since I was a little kid when Bigfoot was around. Is Bigfoot still around? And you gotta go, yeah, he is. And then, they go and take a look at the monster truck, and then like, oh, this is freaking cool. And it's nice seeing this stuff, and then go from there. And then, yeah. So before I just continue on, this episode becomes not the Nick P. Pagliarulo show. It's the Daniel telling you what scheduling is show. I'm going to stop. So, yeah, that's in the world of HBR as of right now. And we'll go from there.
Well, you've been a busy guy, but the guy that we're talking to, Nick Pagliarulo's got a little bit of time off. You were telling us you've been a busy guy this year. Let's talk about your year so far. You guys did the All-Star Tour, the good old Wagons Jam, and how was that? Getting to do a first quarter with your sister.
It was pretty great. This was my first first quarter outside of Monster Jam this year. But this is what we were looking for this year, to kind of give Brooke a full season, up, getting her everything together, getting her comfortable in the truck. She did 6 months last year, but first quarter is always a new thing for anybody. So getting her feet wet, getting her all comfortable, going on the road as long as we are, and battling for points. It's not just going out and doing your weekend shows back to back. This is meant for serious business, and we come down and we had 3 other great monster trucks out there. Elliot's 2 trucks and Jacob Bladwick with Ride Attack. So we had a great group of trucks out there, great group of guys, and just kind of getting her going. But we had a great time. Everything was close to home, which is what I was kind of looking for this year as well. It's just after a while of doing some on the road stuff when you're out on the West Coast, it gets really difficult, especially having a family now for me. So it was nice to go back home. Still a heck of a year so far. During first quarter with Brian, and we'll kind of see what next year goes as well. Hopefully, we're planning on going back again and kind of seeing what that goes to.
So, compared to Monster Jam and other promotions, All Star does something that unique where you don't really have intermissions. I know the event that I did on Thursday, we didn't have an intermission. It was like maybe an hour and 10. The intermission was pretty much just to take a breather. In the monster truck side is when a Blaze ride truck would burn a car. So in their mindset on that, you had multiple shows weekend, so you had time to nut and bolt or fix problems. But, compared to, if you're doing a stadium show in Tampa, you have time to, oh, we got to, change a broken Heim on that sway bar. We'll go ahead and do it. Well, the All-Star event, as soon as you're done changing your Heim, he's already harping on you saying, hey, get in there. You're getting ready for freestyle. So how did you get your mindset on that season when, their shows are really fast paced and, they want the same energy as what you do, but, you also have to calculate and try to, go that, hey, obviously trucks break, you just never know. But if you don't put yourself in a position where that's going to be hurting you, like how did that go with you knowing, of the fast paced mentality of Monster Truck All Stars?
It wasn't very much different than it is for Monster Jam. Yeah, you got more trucks, but the pace is still the same. By the time you're fixing something at Monster Jam, you're going back out, and that was the same thing. Doing All Star during first quarter, we did have a little bit of an intermission. We had about 10 or 15 minutes. But we did one a couple weeks ago in Crown Point, Indiana, and there was no intermission. And that one definitely you could tell. It was a lot more fast-paced. As soon as racing was over, they had the Ablaze truck out there and was out there for 3 or 4 minutes, putting on a good performance, and then we're going right back into freestyle. But, that's, with our trucks, they do get a little warm, so it does take some time to get them cooled down and, throw fuel in the trucks. Me and Brooke we're looking on getting more people on our side of the team, so it takes a little bit extra time not having a crew guy all the time. And the crew guy that we do have, he's learning. So we're trying to get him experience, and it's a good way to get him going and learning the fast-paced stuff. But first quarter, it was pretty decent. We strive this year to really make sure the trucks were at 110% each and every weekend, just like we always do. We did some extra, preventative maintenance things throughout the season. We would tear corners apart once a month and go through stuff. Normally, we would just, if we're in there fixing something else, we'll go through it like we've done previous years. But this year, we decided it's time to really, really get down and start being serious about what we're doing and get a good regimen, good program going so the trucks are always at 100%, whether the trucks are doing a big event or, doing a little car crush at a fair show. It didn't matter. But that definitely was a big improvement for us this year, doing that preventative maintenance, because there was things that we found during the week that we had, we didn't have to worry about breaking during the show, having an axle break or a transmission go out. If we thought it was an issue, we got it done, got it ready for the next weekend at the shop, and made sure that she was ready to go each week.
One cool thing that you guys have been doing, especially with the whole team with Tomfoolery, is your guys' YouTube stuff. And it was cool seeing, the two different sides, your dad and your brother doing the jam stuff and you and your sister doing the All-Star stuff. And, being able to keep tabs on all you guys. And it was cool seeing, the behind the scenes, especially with you and your sister and, the stuff you guys were doing each week to get prepared for the shows, during the shows and stuff like that. What is that kind of stuff, especially with the YouTube, what is that kind of brought to your guys' team and connecting with fans and other things, especially during this first quarter?
Yeah, it really brings the fans to really understand what Monster Trucks is all about. It's not just you're showing up there, put on a great performance, and then, the trucks are magically at the next event. It brings and shows the other side of the independent life that people don't get to see. We're always fixing trucks. We're driving the semis. We're getting everything ready. But we don't have a fleet of guys and a whole bunch of money to keep this going. We're doing this, with the family, with the couple crew guys that we have, and people get to see that. It's not all glitz and glamour. It's the hard work and the determination and the motivation to never give up. And if you want to go for your dream, you live it. And we try to bring that every week in the YouTube videos and see the other side and see what you don't normally see. They get to see behind the curtains. And a lot of people liked it. A lot of people all over the country have been going to since first quarters ended. People are like, man, I love that YouTube stuff you guys are doing. Seeing all that stuff back there, people have been really enjoying it. So we're gonna plan on keep doing that, get that insider stuff. We're looking to get a new guy for us for next year. Just kind of get that stuff back going again.
We're gonna go back to your preventive maintenance, because I noticed that I think West Lebanon, you guys had a checklist sheet, kind of similar like we do at Hall Brothers, and we do that a lot with the preventive maintenance. I remember a couple other teams are doing that too, but the checklist sheet we normally do also is to let who done it, and also with the new guys, let them know how to do stuff too. And then we take a look at the sheet, and if he missed something or he misses a few stuff and he didn't mark it down, he needs to get talking to. So with that preventive maintenance that you guys had, it sounds like that checklist sheet that you guys came up with also for your team, it seems like that's pretty helpful.
Absolutely. We've had that checklist since we started. We've altered it in different ways, but we've always had some sort of a checklist. But when we were as a family, it's when whoever had a chance to do it kind of thing. Back before when we started, I was still in high school. My brother and sister, they were elementary and middle school, and my mom had a daycare at the time. My dad still runs and was running an audio video integration company. So they would work late, at nights. We'd come to the shop, and it's kind of just whatever anybody could do at the time. So that's what was kind of nice about the pre-show checklists. But now, expanding to as many trucks as we have and as many crew guys as we've had throughout the years, it's always nice to get your feet wet in the right way, learning the truck and going over that pre-show checklist. Basically, you check every nut and bolt on that truck, and you can familiarize yourself with it each and every weekend. So, by month 2, month 3, you should be so comfortable, and you should be able to know what parts are what bolts you need, what sockets, impacts, all that stuff. And that's what really gets you going. But yeah, it also, when they forget, and I don't know, I've done it before myself where I don't have that pre-show checklist in front of me, and I'll start doing stuff and I think I do something and I may forget it. That pre-show checklist, when you can, go through that list, no matter how many times you do it, if you don't have it in front of you, you're probably going to forget something. So being able to have that, you make sure that truck's 100%, as much as you can go without completely disassembling the whole truck, but you touch every nut and bolt and make sure that thing, at least in your will and power, is 110%.
Well, and I bet, you guys having all the same chassis, using Patrick chassis, and, all trucks seem pretty much all identical. So it's probably easy for, like, if one part's broken, maybe if, the other truck has the part you need or whatever, like, does that help with that, having basically all 4 identical trucks in a way?
It does. The one thing we get to do is we have, basically a third truck's worth of parts in the trailer at all times, whether it's, basically a full set of spare shocks or, 2 or 3 transmissions. But long story short, all the stuff we have in that trailer is exactly the same. So we don't have to carry, 2 different sway bars. We don't have to carry, 2 different shocks or whatever this is. Everything's the same. So no matter what truck you're looking at, you're going to be able to have the same exact part, and it's in the same exact location. So that's very, very beneficial. Unfortunately, coming up to next year, that is not going to be the case. Michael is getting himself a brand new chassis, and I will be picking up one as well at the end of first quarter. So we're going to have some differences, but all in all, the stuff that's the tiny bit different won't be so much. Everything will kind of be in the same location, so it's still looking at the same truck. And where we're placing everything, we kind of want a lot of the stuff to be interchangeable, and there's really like 1 or 2 parts on that new chassis that we're picking up that's going to be really different.
I was about to say, Mike's driving the old girl, the very first PEI that you guys had back in 2014. So, I mean, that's seen some share stuff, and you have the second one, I believe. So,
Yep.
time to start updating everything like that. I know you had kind of a rough patch there at the Freedom, the one in Michigan. I think you had some uh, metal gone and some broken pieces.
Yeah. So my truck, that was my dad's second truck, and that was debuted in the summer of 2018. So that truck is running on 8.5 years old, running it hard every weekend. It doesn't matter what kind of truck you have, whether it's a PEI chassis, an Eddie chassis, whatever it is. After a while, stuff's gonna start going. Metal's gonna start fatiguing. Things are gonna start giving out, and that's what happened here this last weekend in Michigan. Um, we had a big side slap off the crush car, and trucks really don't like that, especially on the asphalt and the concrete. So it side slapped, and it looked like it probably cracked, but then I went to go do a wheelie and it ripped the four link pocket right out of the cradle. And then I didn't know it. My crew guy shut me down, and it landed real hard because it had no shocks on it at the time. Ripped the shocks right off the truck. So that's nothing we can do about it. That's just the name of the game. When you run the trucks as hard as we try to run them each and every weekend, things are going to start fatiguing. I mean, even in Michael's case, his truck's 13 years old, and it's been through 3 Pagliarulos that definitely destroy some stuff. And I know I've done it, Dad's done it, and Michael has too. Even looking at World Finals the last 2 years, he has tore that truck up. But it's just showing its face in places where it's just there's always cracks. There's just things that aren't right. But it's nothing to do with chassis builders. It's just how hard you run them. It's starting to fatigue, so it's time to upgrade and get new again.
Yeah, that's all I was trying to say. Is time is never gonna be your hero, and time will catch up with anything. So, and including a chassis. So that's all I was trying to. Nothing towards PEI or anything like that. I was trying to say, time's just gonna keep up with you. Yeah, be ahead of you or catch up with you, and before you know it, you gotta change some stuff and go from there. And
Yep, definitely.
So be looking at you're saying looking at in 2027 2 new Tom Forward trucks.
Yep, Michael will have a brand new truck going out in the first quarter. It's actually going to be in the process of being assembled next week, and about the time we're doing our next 2 shows in about 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks, we're hoping to be picking the chassis up, powder coated, ready to be assembled. So we'll be jamming on that thing as soon as we get back home from the 2 Virginia shows we have in about 3 weeks, and put it together for first quarter for him. I know he's ecstatic about it, and so am I. But yeah, then 2027, looking for mine to be done about February, maybe into April, depending on time schedules and how long the chassis builder is going to get this truck done. But definitely summer of 27, I'll be having a brand new truck as well.
Are you guys going with another Patrick again, or are you guys changing it up this time?
We are going to an Eddie Micah chassis.
Oh, okay. So that
Yep.
hey, his chassis they're the industry standard at this point, and no shit on Patrick. Those are amazing chassis as well, but those Eddie chassis are proven. They can withstand a lot of abuse, and the way your brother drives that I've seen at World Finals last year, he's gonna need it.
Absolutely. He did about $6,000 worth of chassis damage last year. Ripped the rear shock tires out of it. And this year, ripping the whole front end off the truck. He did third rail and second rail damage a little bit. Nothing too severe, but that truck got tore up 2 years in a row there. And it's bad. It's ready to go back, and once we strip Michael's down, it's actually going to get redone. Eddie's going to fix it all again, and it's going to become actually a backup truck. We're not actually going to get rid of the original truck. We're going to keep it because between me driving it, I got a lot of sentimental value in it, and both between my mom and my dad, that's what got us started in the industry. We're going to keep that thing as long as we run monster trucks. We're never going to get rid of that. It's got history for us, so we're going to get redone. It's going to become like an emergency backup truck, or more likely we're going to try to get into a display truck. But yeah, Michael's going to have
yeah.
Yeah, that's the goal. But maybe a training truck for, new guys that we're trying to, get into driving. Who knows what we're going to do. We have so many plans for it, but, that's so far down the road. We're not even really worrying about it at the moment.
Well, I mean, as soon as that one's kind of, getting ready to do its next life, yours is going to be in that same position too when you get your new truck. So you have two other trucks on the fleet that will be either display or backup, or is that another game plan for your current Kraken truck too in the future? Or
We haven't really thought about it yet. We've tossed a bunch of ideas around, but nothing's really, solid right now, because we're getting Michael's out there first. That's the most important. And we're going to basically strip everything off of it. We're going to build a lot of stuff, a lot of hydraulics and stuff, but all the Ford links that are still good. Michael's going to have all the same CRD champagnes and knuckles. The housing is going to basically roll right under it, go through everything before first quarter. And that's kind of what we're going to do again with my truck. So by the time I get in the new chassis, it'll sit bare. But I really don't have a full initiative game plan on what we're going to do. We did talk about selling it, but, kind of all depends. Who really knows what we're going to plan with that truck?
I feel if you guys decide to sell it, Jack's Den Jimmy needs to have it. I don't know. I just feel like he would do something with it, or even JH.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
One cool thing that you guys, especially with YouTube videos, is you guys started doing a little bit of like testing. You have Pag Bottom Ranch, and you guys have a little, setup out there and do some testing. And is that something you guys have wanted to do for a long time, and then finally was able to, get that done?
Yeah, it's been a talk for a while. We kind of moved out of Deltona about 4 or 5 years ago, and we got into some property with some land, and that's the biggest thing. Getting out of the city a little bit, and now we live in Osteen. So we got, 10 acres, and you get a decent amount of property. But the biggest thing we wanted to do, here at the Pack Bottom Ranch, as you want to call it, is the training mostly for Brooke, getting her feet wet going and trying to go on a full head of steam like she has, improving on what she can. And that's the same thing with my dad. He's 11 years of driving, but he's always said the same thing where he's just feels like he's behind the curve, doing the tricks, doing stoppies and poppers and bicycles. So for him, this is a big plus to kind of keep his stock going, staying longer, trying to keep him in the industry, keeping him relevant. So that's his biggest thing. This between them two, it's really been an improvement for them because they really do need it.
so let's go back to the creation of your Kraken monster truck. The kind of one way I would say it's unique is you always have a lot of the trucks like Snake Bite, Predator, Bulldozer, where the 3D concept's on the front of the truck. Outside of the Wild Thing truck where the whole thing was 3D, yours is unique because the main 3D portion of the truck is behind the truck instead of commonly the front of it, and showing it like it kind of eating, I don't know, it looks like it's eating the rest of the Escalade while it's there and on that concept. So you had the name, and let's just go fast forward. You had the name quite some time. I remember someone interviewing you about the name of the Kraken, and that was always stuck in your head. But how did the 3D idea come about?
So it wasn't too long after me and my best friend had a bunch of names down, and that was the kind of the name that I picked. I wanted to go a step further and just start creating sketches. So, I had to have been maybe 13, 14 years old, right about the time we were building our first truck. And I just did whatever. I had a bunch of different designs. I had one similar to what it is today with an Escalade, kind of made something like that. I tried to make one off of an F-150, and it would kind of go over the, the back of the bed. A couple different things, just to see what would kind of look cool. But the closest rendering that I had was kind of what's similar to what it is today, but it wasn't the full 3D body. And that's kind of what I was going for as a kid, looking back at, the kind of the times that we were in. 3D bodies were becoming a thing. So I kind of wanted that, but looking back now, it was great that we got to do it with the monster truck because, in my opinion, a monster truck needs to have a pickup body, some kind of a body to resemble a vehicle. So being able to leave that front clip of looking like an Escalade really, gave it the finishing touch. And so many fans like enjoy that. They get to see it's not just another truck that's just an animal or whatever it is. It has character. It's eating something, and it's eating a monster truck. So it really ties everything in, and it still, in my opinion, keeps the monster truck name, a monster truck.
You guys worked with Jason Becker with Master of Faster, and shout out to Jason. He's helped me a lot with my graphic design journey. I'll tell you that. And he created I think the original one of the renders when you guys were coming up with the body and stuff like that as well, and doing a lot of the graphics, and talk about collaborating with him, especially with your truck, and also on a lot of the other stuff you guys do, because he's helped you guys with recreation and so many other of the many identities you guys have with tomfoolery.
Absolutely. When I was a kid, even when we were starting to build my truck, and I was about 17 or 18, I have no artistic skill whatsoever. I can't draw to save my life. So being able to have Jason come in and do my truck really brought the detail and really brought the truck to life. Even, his sketches, it really gave it an extra view, and it really made that dream into a reality, because it's really having some detail and doesn't look like just a little pencil sketch. And, between the color and everything that he did, it really made it into a true work of art to what it is today. But he's had a hand in everything in our on our team. He was the original creator of Recreation. That was his concept. He trademarked it. He came up to us and offered to buy it so we can run it for him. Becoming great friends with him, so we bought the trademark for him, and with Star Creations, we were able to make that work. But even between that, all of our merchandise, just about any shirts, hats, pennants, stuff like that, he's made, and he's really good in the artwork that he does, and it shows in the merchandise. People love what we see, but it's all thanks to him creating it.
So also congratulations on being a dad, and
Thank you.
you have the family life and stuff like that, and with that going on, like how going to All-Star, you have your family with you a lot, and that gotta be much easier to being that way. So how is it being a dad?
It is the best thing in the world. In my opinion, there's nothing better than being a dad. Basically watching a little you around here, and taking care of another human being is one thing I'm truly grateful for. Having her around, seeing the little things that he does, brings a tear to my eyes sometimes. Just the way she walks, the way she talks, the way she entertains all of us and has a great time. And it's something that I'm so grateful for, and being able to, have a kid with my beautiful fiance, Alex, is such a blessing. And, we got one, we're trying for a couple more, but who really knows? But we want to kind of keep this thing going with them. She loves the stuff. She'll come into the shop with us, and she'll go up to my toolbox and she'll start grabbing wrenches, and she'll start there, and she'll want to start tightening nuts and bolts with me. She'll sit in Michael's truck, her uncle Michael's truck, sit there. She'll go in there and she'll turn the starter over. She'll want to start it. She'll flip her lights up, flip the lights on and LEDs and stuff like that. She's just as much into it as me. So it's kind of cool to be able to see that kind of go forward with her too.
You gotta watch the little ones when they're gearheads, because I know when I was little, we were just about to move from British Columbia here to Alberta, and my dad had an old 80s Monte Carlo, old G body, and I knew where the key was, I knew where the ignition was. I started that son of a bitch, grabbed under the wheel, and stomped my foot down on that loud pedal. You gotta be careful with the little gearheads, because they'll surprise you.
Absolutely. She has no fear whatsoever. It's she loves going in the side by side with me. She does not care, and she's 2.5, so it's like I'm already doomed from the start. Whether it's monster trucks or any kind of racing she wants to get into, I'm doomed, because I know she's gonna want to be a part of something when she gets older.
I bet you your dad and mom love her.
Oh my gosh, it's unbelievable. That's their first grandkid on this side. So, they love her so much. They hang out with her all the time. She's always in my mom's office when we're at the shop. She's, hanging out with her, coloring, or cutting up with my dad, and they love her so much. She always loves to be around them 24/7. If it's not us, she's always around them too.
Well, I know a lot of our fans here at Crushes, I know myself included, Cheech, we're all Cletus fans. Want to talk a little bit about that, kind of how you guys got together doing stuff with Cletus, and just talk about, we were talking a little bit before we press record, talking about, how humble the dude is, and just talk about, how that whole partnership kind of came about, and also the creation of the Freedom Flyer.
Yeah, so it started probably about the summer of 2023. Cletus up and out of the blue called my dad, but he didn't have his phone number. He got into somebody that's been around and maybe or maybe not have done the one of the Ranger Danger races in Bristol. And he was looking to bring in monster trucks. And at the time, this driver, I'll leave nameless, can't bring that truck out there. So he brought out some names and, told us, Cletus, that we were local to us, being about 2.5 hours from him. So he called my dad, interested in, wanting to bring monster trucks to Le Mullets that year, his 2.4-hour Le Mullets race. And we told him absolutely. Being so close, it just worked out perfect. We brought my truck, we kind of, pushed some advertisement, got him to do a whole shot, hit a K-rail with it, and it kind of really sparked it going, and we've kind of built this friendship. And Cletus is one of those down-to-earth guys that when you meet up with him and he meets all these guys, he brings you guys in, and he really comes in there to improve you and make you guys more popular. And it's something that we are so grateful to be able to be a part of with him. And, bringing that other side of people that may not know monster trucks, or maybe know a little bit, we're trying to, being able to get them to learn monster trucks and, see what we do is pretty cool, and trying to make a new fan base and bring in new fans for monster trucks. But when we decided to bring Freedom Flyer in, it was me and Dad were in Syracuse, and it would have been the spring of 2024. And the weekend of the Freedom 500 that year was on Cletus's birthday. So we figured, why not make something? You couldn't make anything more American than an American monster truck, and have one of the greatest, individuals out there that supports freedom in America, having his face on. So we decided to surprise him for his birthday with the Freedom Flyer, and he absolutely loved it. And it's one of his favorite truck out there. We gave him a special tailgate that had his, Happy Birthday Cletus on the back of it. But it really did spark into, a really big partnership with him. Now, we do have an awesome sponsorship with the Freedom Factory. That's why you see me and Brooke, and, depending on shows, Michael and Dad, we're powered by the Freedom Factory. We have a great sponsorship with them. They support us through and through. We are, their monster truck guys, and we couldn't be any more appreciative of it. So we want to, show our thank you by, bringing the brand as far out as possible as we can bring it for him. And bringing it to that, we were able to bring out the Freedom Flyer RC car. This last couple months, we debuted it, the unveil on July 4th weekend, and it's turned into an awesome, collaboration with Cletus. And it's only going to go up from here, hopefully. We've had a great time with him a couple weeks ago, sold a bunch of RC cars, got to push the brand a little more, got to meet so many people that, he brings in with his friends to see more about us and see what we're all about.
It's not just going there in Florida too, the Freedom Factory. I recognize also that they had you guys at Indianapolis, Michigan a couple weeks ago. So where he's having product there, I wouldn't be surprised if he gets you in Bristol if he does that. Or did you guys do the one in Connecticut? I think
Stafford Springs. Yep, we did Stafford Springs last year. That's where Michael got the, I guess, official world record for longest stoppie in a monster truck, which he was pretty proud of, to be able to bring that to Cletus's event. But we did that last year. We try to do, depending on schedule, the Freedom 500, but that's in April. So like this year, we couldn't do it because I forget, Michael and Dad were somewhere out west. And then we were in Chattanooga with All-Star for championship weekend. But they want us to be their main and only monster truck team in a way. So they want to bring us to promote their events everywhere they go. And that's where they brought us this 2 weeks ago to Michigan, being their very first time in Michigan. They wanted to bring us there. This year we couldn't do Indy. I think we had a show that weekend, or Stafford Springs, and then we did Indy this year. So anywhere we try to go, we try to bring out the trucks for them.
That's pretty cool. That having you guys go everywhere as a main product, that it ain't gonna be a Cletus show without you guys around and stuff like that, which is pretty freaking awesome, And and then, well, I did have a question. I brain farted, and that's common in this program, is because I brain fart a lot. Actually, we have a question here, and I'll get to my main question, but we got a question that we put on the Facebook page. Bobby Laurenti asked, what color scheme would you love to run on the Kraken next?
Man, that would be tough. To pick another color. The last few that we picked have been my favorites, and the purple one is very near and dear to me. My daughter and my fiance picked those colors out to me. But blue and purple are kind of my favorite colors. So seeing them on the truck it's kind of been one I've been stuck on right now. But I get stuff all the time. People will send me Photoshop pictures of different trucks. But the one maybe I've been thinking about is maybe a black and red, like an all black out with some red on it or something like that.
Yes, please. Black and red are my favorite colors, so I'm down for that.
We've been thinking about it. But nothing official until I find something, or we're going to at least run the purple for at least another year. Because in 28, who knows what we're doing? Because it'll be 10 years of Kraken. So we want to make sure we do something pretty spectacular that year. I thought about bringing back the OG again for a couple weekends, bringing back the green one. Who really knows? But we're going to at least do the purple one next year. And then 28, maybe, we're talking about going back and unveiling maybe something big and kind of do some throwbacks too. But we're kind of open to any colors right now.
So you mentioned a little bit ago the All-Star Championship final round, and congratulations on getting the championship this year with the All-Star Tour.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
That's such an awesome thing, and you were talking about a lot of the competition, Elliot's two trucks, him and Athena. You had Jacob in Rat Attack, which I still think he needs to put zoomies on that truck because it would just look so much cooler.
It would sound so good too. Absolutely.
The side pipes are cool, but zoomies, dude, is just, there's something about just the sound of zoomies, and God, hearing the two DCT trucks with the zoomies this weekend, just there's nothing like it. But
nothing like it.
Talk about winning the championship, and just what that meant, what that means to you, because All-Star is really like we mentioned earlier, like it's a legit point series. It's no BS. It's old school style points racing. So talk about what it meant to you to win that.
It meant a lot in a lot of different ways. Being able to bring the very first, series championship to the team and the family is amazing. Being able to bring that extra level, to the team tomfoolery stock. But, seeing the level of drivers out there, between Elliot, Dustin Spallone was driving his truck at a couple shows, Scoob, Zach Wickenbach was driving as well. Like between them three with Elliot's truck, man, it was all out, just pandemonium, like just craziness. Jacob with the consistency, it didn't matter where you were at. Even Athena, like you could have a weekend where she's on rails and you just could not stop her. And that's what bringing back to the monster trucks really to me is all about, is that that good drive, that hard racing. Everybody's giving it everything they got. And that you could see it through the point standings the entire year. Me and Jacob, we was neck and neck. It came down to the last weekend and pretty much the last show. It was make it or break it. If I had a bad one, he was right. He's gonna be right there in front of me. Or depending, things happened. He broke early in the night show of Chattanooga, and it gave me enough points But through the whole weekend, he kept me on the seat of my pants, driving as hard as I could every weekend because it's that kind of show, that kind of series where you're bringing the best of the best, and you don't go out there and week 3, you got this thing in the bag. It was every single weekend you were hoping that you can stay enough points ahead to feel even a little bit comfortable. And those guys out there really made sure I could get a ran for my money.
Man, and then you win the championship, but your summer's been exciting. You guys been all over the place this summer, but you guys have been doing a lot of exciting summer shows. West Lebanon, you guys just got done with Hamburg. You guys have been going nonstop. You and Brooke, you said you've been haven't been home since May. So, your summer has been pretty crazy.
Oh, it has. We picked up right up in All-Star, doing some stuff, and that's when the trucks left out. The trucks have just got back yesterday, but they have not been home since May, when we started out doing some stuff in Maine for All-Star. And we would drive back and forth when we'd have a couple weekends off, spend some time at home, do some stuff at the shop, get things prepped and ready, and we'd go right back out. But the trucks really haven't been home, so it's very hard to be able to do a lot of things because you're only limited to what you can bring. We'd have a pickup when we could back home, pick up parts, drop off broken parts, whatever we needed to do. But when we left out in Maine to go up there in May, I was like, man, we are not going to be back till the end of August. It's going to be a long stretch with trucks. And we made it work, but we had some great shows in between. The stuff with All-Star, we picked up a lot with Joey Sylvester with Outlaw Monster Truck Drags. We did Mansfield and Canfield with him. We were with you there and LaSalle, and you guys were whipping up on us. We had a great time there too. But we've had a really good year so far. Yeah, we were in Hamburg last weekend. We've been pretty decently all over the country. With not many miles. We've probably done 10,000 miles this summer, about 20,000 miles this whole year, which is on the low. But we've gone to a lot of cool places, been some different ones, and met a lot of great people on the way. And hopefully next year we can kind of have the same kind of summer.
How was doing a show with good old Colton Kaiser a couple weeks ago?
That was awesome. I love Colton and Rich. They're such a great set of guys. When we did Crown Point and then I think it was Mansfield as well. It was great with them. They're such down-to-earth guys that, love doing this with the family, just like we do. It was really cool. We got to hang out with them a little bit. They had some issues in Mansfield, but, we really had in Crown Point a lot more time to hang out and kind of, talk a little bit, hang out at the fair what we could. But there's some great dudes there.
It's Crown Point has to be one of the sentimental races for you since it was one of the first events that you had with the OG Kraken, the one without the 3D body. There's a picture that I'm looking off to the distance, and your dad's smiling, and he's holding my stomach like I have a baby. And
that'd be a funny picture to see.
It's on Facebook, and it's just like I'm looking up or something like that, and it's pretty funny. But it was one of the first events I saw. The Kraken truck, because I think like they normally what they did was they would have Juliet the day before or 2 days before Crown Point, and a lot of times what they would do was they book 3 or 4 trucks from Juliet, and then you would drive to Crown Point. So logistically, it would help you out,
right?
And I remember seeing you there too. And but kind of bringing, I think was it this year the first time since 2000, was it 18, 19?
So I did Crown Point 2 years. I did in 2018 and 2019. 19 being the first year with the 3D body, but yeah, this was the first time since 2019 that I've been back. But Crown Point, honestly, means a lot more to me than probably people would think. That was my 4th show ever in the truck. I did testing and stuff like that, but we had 4 shows or 3 shows prior to that, and one of them I wasn't even supposed to do, and that was Joliet. My dad had a transmission go in his truck, and we weren't able to get it back. So, Elliot Miller running the show for Throwdown, he told me to get my truck ready. We already had it out of the trailer. We tired it up, shocked it up, and I did a freestyle. And it was, that was the one time he had that little Jackrabbit bus jammer, and I sent that thing, to the moon. And it was a big turning point for me going into that for my third show. But we went right after that. It was supposed to be my dad for Crown Point. But he wanted me to get more experience, and after having the transmission go out in his truck the night before, he told me to go ahead and get going. And that's where I won my first race. I was racing Aaron Kane in the finals in Quad Chaos, and it had rained a little bit, but it was a little muddy, but we had some really good tires there. And I still remember like it was yesterday racing him, and I barely eked out the win, and that being my first ever racing win. And meant a lot to me, especially there, because there's so much history. Even Brian with All Stars had that show for over 15 years. So being able to come back and kind of start my career there full circles was awesome.
So, you mentioned with that race, it was a little bit muddy in the tires. So I know sometimes BKTs kind of suck in the mud and stuff. And what are your favorite tires to run on your truck? Because I know everybody has their differences and preferences. But for you, what is your preferred tire that you want to run on your truck?
Well, if I had the tire, I could. I'd want to run an original set, full cleat Ukraines. But they're virtually impossible to get anymore. And the ones that we have are great, but they are basically a slick at this point. They are very bald. They don't have any grip. And they're so dry rotted that they're hard as a rock, so they do hurt when they land. But if I could run a full set of really good, like brand new Ukraines, I would do that. But honestly, even though the BKTs really aren't, the best in the mud, those Gen 4s really are probably one of the best all-around tires. They have really good grip. Being a 6-ply tire, they're very light, so they're very forgiving when you take big jumps. The bigger the ply, they're a little bit heavier. They're a little bit harder of a tire. So, I mean, honestly, as much as I've been driving the BKTs and people have their preferences, but I think to buy a brand new tire, that's the way to go. That's probably the best all-around tire you can get.
Yeah, I don't want. One thing I heard was him and Cliff. They said, "Hey, at West Lebanon, they told me don't be surprised if your truck's on jack stands, and then they'd be running my Goodyears." So I was like, "Oh no." And I was like, "That's all I heard was Nick and Cliff going, prepare for your truck to be on jack stands because they're gonna be running those Goodyears." I was like, "Yeah, go for it."
Oh man, I'll tell you those 6-ply full cleat Goodyears, man. That's a heck of a tire. I haven't really raced with them. I raced with them very, very, maybe like 2 shows when I drove Jester when I first started. But those tires are some meaty son of a guns. If I could drive them, I might have a different preference on them if I drove them more. But I'll tell you, if you did straight line drag racing, them things are probably the best tire out there.
I've been trying to harp on him. He knows it. Nick knows it too. I've been trying to harp on him, saying, "I got Firestone if you guys want to trade that spare Goodyear." I know you guys ran that Goodyear at Hamburg because I was watching video and you had the spare Goodyear on tracking.
I canned the wheel and as well at Michigan for the Freedom Factory, so we had to run that one a little bit. I didn't notice much of a difference with it, but yeah, that was really the first time I kind of ran a cut Goodyear like that.
You could be like the Kohlers and run the Michelins, the big ass Michelins.
I've always loved the look of those things, and I really hope one day I can I want to drive one show with those tires. I think those tires are freaking cool.
Oh, the Big X, I think, those Michelins?
Yes, I would love to drive one of those, just one show with those things.
See, those tires on a Team Scream truck just look proper because those trucks are tanks. Like, even just seeing them this weekend, like, I forget what tires they were running this weekend.
They were running Ukraines.
They were running Ukraines.
Yeah, they had some Ukraines.
But those Michelin X Bib or whatever tires they run sometimes, like, those look like heavy tires too.
They are.
Oh,
because they're
I think
they're
they're like
metal.
I think they're 10 or 12 ply.
Oh god.
Yeah, and they also have a metal. They're also radials. They're not, and so in the tire talk, when people say, what do you have, and you say a non-radial and a radial has metal bands in the middle to hold the tire strength, while non-radial obviously doesn't have that on the tire itself. And then you can tell the difference between a radial and a non-radial is a non-radial will be 66, 43, 25. And I think a radial is like 1000 R/50/25 or some type of big number that they have on it. And those Michelins a lot of times are radials, so they're heavy sons of guns. They weigh close to 1,000, 1,500 pounds just with the rim, and if they're not cut or buffed the way they are, they're heavy sons of guns compared to like a Ukraine BKT or even like a 10-ply Firestone. Firestone just came out with a tire which was weird. It's a 20-ply, but it's the same weight as like Ukraine or a 6-ply Goodyear.
Really?
Yeah. Bigfoot just started getting some of those. It's a Firestone tire that they just came out with that is a like 20-ply tire, but it's light as hell. So I don't know. The Goldmine tire is, I know there's got to be some monster truck guy somewhere on the United States that have the only for monster truck racing use Firestones that Bigfoot ran back in the 90s. Those sons of bitches. All day long.
I always thought those hater cuts that Joey had, those Yokohamas, looked actually really nasty.
They did until they broke axles.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are definitely some axle eater tires for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So one of my last questions for you, Nick, is I want to ask you about the mullet body, because that's kind of interested me since you guys kind of debuted that. How did that come about? Because you don't see El Camino monster trucks very often, and
Aces High,
dude,
Aces High.
that'd be sick, an Aces High remake with you guys. But
you may have to talk to Rick Ross about getting the name though.
But how did all that come about? And was Star involved in doing the whole body for that?
Yeah, Star was a big help with that body as well. But that was another thing that we wanted to do, was kind of surprise Cletus. What is the, he's always, excited about a good surprise, and that was another truck that he had no idea about, and that was kind of like in the high of mullet for him. He was getting ready to cut it up and put it to a big tire drag car. So it was, it's the talk of the town. It's always on his YouTube videos. So we thought, why not take it an extra step? And talking to a lot of his guys that were on the show, let's surprise him with mullet. And they thought that was the absolute coolest thing ever. So Star was able to hook up the body. We kept that thing under wraps for 2 or 3 months. He had no idea. But that thing was, we tried to make it as exactly 100% at the time identical to that. And he loved that thing. He thought it was the coolest thing out there. We made parachutes look like parachutes. We made the wing out of Lexan, made it look exactly like the truck. And it is honestly so cool. The only bad part about that truck is the big the hood scoop. That thing is so terrible to see out of. You have no idea where you're going. The one time I drove into Indy and this year, I'll tell you, man, that thing blocked my entire view. I had no idea what I was looking at. Like, if they would have had a straight camera on me the whole time, it'd be me on the throttle and then me on the brakes, just trying to keep the momentum up, but so I can actually see the cars before I hit them. I was on the gas, on the brakes, so I was making sure I was straight, and then back on the gas again. But that body's really cool. But other than that hood scoop, man, that thing was terrible to look at.
Any social media people can follow you at?
What's that?
Any social media?
Like my personal social media?
Yeah, like if anybody wants to follow you or the team, where can they find you at?
Yeah, so you can look up the team at Tomfoolery Motorsports on any. We do have TikTok. We're not usually up on that, but we have Instagram, Facebook, any of our trucks out there as well. You know, Kraken, Excalibur, Michigan Ice Monster, Jester, Misfire. We all have those as well. But you can look at me personally, Nick_Pagliarulo13 on Instagram. That's where I'm at. If you guys want to take a look at me out there, I usually try to post. I'm not usually the biggest poster, unfortunately. That's just me. But I do post out every once in a while. Not as common as many, but you see a lot of the stuff that we like to go and do.
All right, well, Cheech, it'll be back in a second, but actually, another question I have. One guy that you guys that helps you guys out on Instagram, Nova Designs. I think is how you pronounce his name, JDL, but he's a
Jadiel.
Jadiel, and then you guys also have had Wayne with Avengers Racing help out, Jacob Mumpower. Talk about just working with those guys and working with the content creators like that, and what kind of stuff do they help you guys with and all that?
Well, Jadiel, which you can see him on Noah Designs on Instagram, he actually does work with us full time. He does a lot of 3D printing, so any of the 3D printing bodies that you get for the mini LMTs, that's all him. Any keychains, any of the 3D stuff that he does, that's from us. Even the polyurethane bodies of the Excaliburs and the Michigan Ice Monsters and Jesters, he paints them, does all that, he stickers them up. And when he's not doing that, he's on the road with us. He was helping out Michael and this weekend in Sunrise. And if he's not doing that and he's at the shop, he's with my dad helping the audio video integration side, inventory and stuff, taking deliveries. So he's a very big, much part of the team and part of the family. Wayne, being out of South Florida, one of my good friends, hanging all the time. We see each other when we can. Now he's doing the videos for us this first quarter. Great friend, being able to hang out with him and the big following that he has, kind of helping to push the team. And Jacob Mumpower, he was a very, very close friend. We'd always see him when we come to Virginia. His mom Jackie and his dad Jamie would always bring him. He'd always have the awesome. He would hand sketch and draw some of the most detailed replicas of our trucks. And that's what got him started. And he wanted to find his way into getting more involved with monster trucks. So he actually, his parents helped him make a resume, and he brought it to us. And we wanted to find a way to bring him in. So we thought maybe filming. So we've been on a journey with him, I'd say, for about 3 or 4 years now. Being able to bring him to the family, and we bring him every weekend. And Jacob is such a character. We love him so much. And he gets to hang out with us and have a great time, and he gets to enjoy what he loves the most, which is monster trucks.
And I'll say this, one cool thing is, as myself, an adult with autism, seeing Jacob thrive and do stuff with you guys, and him also having autism, like, it's so empowering to see that. And I just want to thank you guys for that, because, people don't realize that, people with autism are just like everybody else. We might think a little bit different, but we're just like everybody else. And just seeing what you guys are doing with him, it's so cool.
Absolutely. This is what he's always, been about. And the story that Jackie and Jamie, his parents always told us was that he was he was nonverbal until he heard Scott Douglas. And the very first words his parents told us was, "This is Monster Jam." And that's what, got him to speak. And that was his way to communicate and kind of open up with people. And now open up with us was through monster trucks. And being able to bring him do that. And he's such an awesome kid. And being able to have him with the family is great.
My last question is actually one of my good friends, and he was always there no matter what. And I was when he was working for the company, he was battling cancer, was Josh Yoho.
Yeah.
And he's pretty much your foreman, shop foreman, pretty much for, your guys' race team, you may just say. He's the one that a lot of people talk about, and he keeps the party alive, let's just say. And how is it having him, being one of those arsenals on your guys' team. You know, that the way he is and stuff like that, and the way he helps you guys out.
You know, throughout the years, Yoho has definitely helped us a lot. He's not with us anymore, unfortunately. You know, he's had to step away. He's retired now. I don't know how long he'll be retired from Monster Trucks, but he says this is the time to be it. But he's getting out of the industry a little bit. But there's been a lot of years where, you know, he has been able to help us through and through. You know, but before his diagnosis when he had cancer, he was with me, and it was me and him on the road together. We would sit there, hang out all the time, cut up, you know, having a great time talking about so many different things about monster trucks, personal life, and, you know, then going, you know, he had to step away and came back, you know, after he, you know, beat cancer, and he became Michael's crew chief, and, you know, everybody became close with him. But being able to have somebody like him that, you know, knows the motorsports, knows the industry, and knows what it means to have a top quality truck, definitely was awesome to have in the arsenal.
All right. Well, Nick, thank you for coming on the show tonight. It was awesome to have you on, and hopefully we'll have you on again, and hopefully have the rest of your family on. You know, it'd be cool to have all four of you guys on at the same time, and, you know, just have a big old chat. What are your next shows?
So we have for Tyler Wind, it's in Tappahannock, Virginia in 2 weeks. I want to say it's September 12th and 13th. We have one for him the weekend after. It's a really weird name in Virginia, and I'm sorry I can't remember it. But we have a show with him there, and then we go to Winston-Salem in October for Brian with All Star, and then we go to Sophia like 2 days after that, and then we have Le Mullets. That's the big Freedom Factory show. We're gonna put on some pretty wild stuff there, but that's it for us. We got pretty much, at least me and Mike, at least me and Brooke, we got pretty much five shows left, and we're done for the year. Michael's got a couple left. He's got a couple Monster Jams. He's got the 2 with Tyler Wind with us and Dad as well, and then the big finish in Le Mullets.
So, is there ever going to be a time where you guys will be able to drive some Crown Vics?
That would be awesome. You know, that's what we're trying to. Hopefully, we can get that invite, because there's a bunch of great people that always get to drive that thing, and, you know, becoming great friends with him. We're hoping one day we can race them Crown Vics. That'd be pretty sweet. I always seeing them race there. They drive dirty, but they drive great because they're all great friends, and I'd love to be a part of that one day.
That seems like it'd be a lot of fun. Cheech, anything else from you, my friend?
I believe next week we're going to have Mr. Mark Hall on our episode, which will be live. So there's some other stuff going on. So be on the front that I may have a different guest. But if everything comes to fruition and everything's okay, Mark will be on next week.
And guys, check up on your friends and family. Mental health is a very important thing. We just this past weekend was the I want to say 7-year anniversary of Mike Thompson's passing. He is one of the main reasons why we say check up on your friends and family. You know, it was a huge loss for the industry, and if
his brother won Gaithersburg.
Yes, his brother won Gaithersburg racing both nights, which is awesome to see. But if you're hurting, mentally struggling, anything, please reach out to somebody. Your life is worth living. You know, I can attest to that. I've been through my own mental health battles, and you know, just reach out. You know, it'll help save your life. Even if you're a family member that has somebody hurting, please reach out to them, because you can be the one that can start that change and save their life. But guys, until next week, as we have said for 11 years, keep
your dogs, watch your animals too.
Yeah.
And watch Brad Shaw, because he seems like he's
yeah.
You keep him inside too.
You can see all the marks from all
anyway,
IVs and stuff. But anyways, guys, keep the rubber shine down and the shiny side up, everybody. Peace.